Okay, Rob, let's do your analysis from the school this week. And I want to go over a couple things with you, key points, the big picture stuff, so that you go away from here with a couple of things that you can focus on without it being, too many, without getting the big picture or focusing in on the core of it. The individual details become much more confusing, I think. So what you want to do is get a picture of what we do. So let's go over here to day one, and then over here to Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll start with the side view here, because I think that's going to be a lot more instructive for you. Yeah. Okay, so the big thing that goes on for you in your golf is what we call very early release. There's a couple terms for it. Casting the club, throwing the club head at the ball too soon, early release. Not necessarily over the top. The expression over the top means that you tend to come from outside in, right? Well, you don't do that necessarily. I think you've played enough golf in the past to realize that you have to hit the ball from inside. But what does happen critically for you is that the release of the club gets extremely early. So at this point right here, the release is always defined as the point where the club lines up with the left arm, and you're this far from the golf ball and have already released that club. So there's no predicting. There is predicting, but it can vary. You could hit way behind it here, or if you don't hit behind it, you could react to that and then pull up and top it. You could hit a vicious hook from there because your right hand is really dominating, it's taking over, or you could just push it straight out to the right. So those are because you come from the inside. So those are all things to do. If you look at that position where you are there, that's pretty much the opposite of where we want the shaft. We want the shaft at this point leaning this way, not leaning back this way. So of course that's why your ball goes straight up in the air sometimes. Now, if you see the bow in your wrist there, your right wrist is what I would call bowed. That wants to be cupped. It wants to be bent back, dorsiflex, so to speak. So what I think is a great drill for you is to just go out and as much as you can. I know that golf is a time-consuming effort, and getting better at golf is definitely time-consuming because you got to go practice. But if you could go out and find little 50-yard shots and do your best to hit them with keeping that right wrist bent. Now right here you have a little cup in that wrist, right? That happens in the backswing when you cock your wrist. Well, let's see how long you can come down and try to keep that little hinge in your wrist. Because there's one thing that happens for you is that it goes from a cup to a bow, right? It goes from extension or dorsiflexion, bent back, so to speak, to bent forward like this. This is in what they call flexion. And it should be in dorsiflexion like that. So that's a high focus area for you to make improvement. And, if you can get that, everything else about the way that you go about golf would change, because a lot of your stuff right there is a reaction to that. So your hands start here, and then they break down there. So watch. At address, we got the club leaning a little bit forward, right? Your hands are slightly in front of the ball, which is good. That's where they should be. But at impact, your hands are right back to where they were, but look at the golf club. Now, you're talking about, what we're discussing here is the single most violated principle in all of amateur golf. No, not a question in my mind about that. I've seen it for so many years that it's black and white to me. You very early release the club. And that hold that you're about to do can only, in my experience, the only time I've ever seen it done is when you can do it on short shots first, little pitch shots first. This is also, Rob, why you struggle mightily in the bunker. Your bunker shots give you a lot of trouble, and probably always have, to be honest, because of what you're seeing here. You just can't release the club that early. So a lot of learning, motor skill learning is not, what I do is I just kind of point the problem out, and I could give you, there's a device that goes around your wrist here which keeps this flex a little bit longer. That's a training aid, but I found that the best way to go about that is to just come down and start with 30-yard shots and then go to 50-yard shots and then 80 and then keep going until you can really feel that you're doing it, and that you would be able to send me a picture with that club leaning a little bit forward at impact. Because until then, everything else that we do would be a Band-Aid, quite honestly. And that's not what real improvement's all about. All right. Real improvement is tackling the core of the problem. And you played some golf in the past, and you're not looking to play in the U.S. Open, but you did have some early training on it. You were on the high school too, and you could, in college team, I think you said. So you have some knowledge of golf, and you got the idea. But the mechanics are in trouble. By the time you get up to the top, you're in pretty good shape. There's not a lot I'd change about it. The club face is square, back of the left wrist perfectly flat, good shoulder turn, nice weight transfer. Be careful about your right foot. You do tend to sway off the ball a little bit and get it outside your right foot. So make sure that you stay over the ball with your chest and your sternum. And as you come down, you're swinging out that way. And you're casting it and the shoulders are way up from where they started. So you watch. That's your reaction at impact. And all you're doing is you're trying to get out of the road of the ground because you cast it so early you're bound to hit it. So what I think we do is we start with weight on your left side. You must start with weight in front of the ball. And as early as you can in the downswing, you feel like you get this foot up in the air and that you turn through the ball. Turn through your chest, your belt buckle here, your lower body have to be turning to face the target. That's the only way you're going to delay this release. Because as it is, the ball's gone probably 50 yards and your head is still down and you haven't turned. So you finish up here, and you could be finishing over here with more of a rotation of your downswing through the golf ball. Okay, that's the crux of the matter, Sarah, and I think you're going to hit on it when you start to get a little bit of delay in that right wrist. It's so critical for you that I think you want to take it to the next level. You can go right out in your backyard and practice that with wiffle balls, for God's sake. Just get a feeling of what it's like to go down into the ball with a little bit more delay in your hit. There's the difference. Why are you raising the handle up like that? Because with that early release and not getting your body moving through the ball, you absolutely have to. Look at your shoulders. See how they hunch up? And that's, if I throw the club that early and I don't turn out of the road and I get any weight stuck on that right side, I'm going to hit 6 inches behind it. And so what I'll do is I'll hunch my shoulders up, I'll raise the handle, I'll make the shaft come in a lot higher than what it was at impact, and I'll try to avoid the turf, but that's correcting a fault with a fault essentially. So you want to feel that the wrist delay is a little bit longer, the body rotates. By now you should already have that belt buckle facing close to the target, and just keep turning and holding and turning and holding, and that would help you a lot. Okay, hope you enjoyed the week. I enjoyed having you.